Welcome to the GTM Dialogues podcast. GTM Dialogues is a platform built to support B2B startups on their journey to scale. We have a simple mission, and that's to help founders to make a bigger impact. We're proud to have a community today of over 1,000 founders who are part of our network. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to scale, this is the place to learn, connect, and grow. Join us here on the podcast or at one of our live events as we talk to top industry experts, we share insights, and we guide you through your go-to-market journey. So, hi, and welcome to another episode of the GTM Dialogues podcast. We have a very exciting guest with us today. We have Nalin Senthamil from Storylane. Welcome to the podcast, Nalin.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks. Great to be here, Chris.
Do you want to just start with a quick, maybe an introduction of yourself and of Storylane for anyone who's not familiar with the company?
So Storylane, we are a product demo platform. I'm based personally in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, US. The company is remote, so we launched our company 3 years back. It's going to be 3 years come like around November timeline. So we're a remote company with a product demo platform. We sell to sales teams and marketing teams. What product demo platform is like, the goal of Storylane is to enable your buyers to see the product, so that any of the product teams, sales teams, marketing teams, the GTM teams are able to take their product, turn this into a demo, and share this with the prospects, be it when the prospects are engaging on your website or in your campaigns or when they're talking to sales, right? At any point in the pipeline, we're able to engage with them to showing the product. That's what we do. And then it's been great. Last 3 years, remote with 30 people team, distributed all across from US, Europe, India. Yeah, it's truly remote. Even in India, we are remote in different cities, actually.
Fantastic. So what we really want to explore in this podcast is the GTM, the go-to-market strategies and execution. If you can start from the beginning, because we know the earliest sales, everything begins with founder-led sales. You go out and start selling the product. At some point, you start experimenting with other channels. Do you want to take us through your earliest thinking? What did you experiment with at the beginning?
Sure. So firstly, I'll tell you, like, this is not my first company, right? So there's some background experience coming because I've been in startups from 2011. So it's around like more than a decade, but not as a founder. 2011 was my initial. I'm a tech person. I was a technologist. I was a CTO in a AR company, 5 years building technology. I didn't know anything about selling, founder sales or anything, but I know what it means because I saw the founders firsthand doing that. Yep. Then my second was a company where my current co-founder, we started a company where I was definitely doing a bunch of selling plus products. I have some knowledge around it. And then after that, Storylane, we started 3 years back. So we know it's a lot of times we're like, hey, founder-led sales, you have to learn to it. So we knew what it means. So which means like we have to find the design partners early on. So we went through a YC in summer 21. So when we applied to YC, we didn't have a product or anything. We just had like a quick video mock, like something we built out like in design. And then once we got through it, we started building the product. So that's the time when we felt like once we're building, which is serious, okay, we have to go live. At the end of the YC, there's a demo day. And then we have to launch after this and everything. So those 6 months, I think I would say 2021, we looked at our previous company, some network folks, and then started reaching out through LinkedIn, getting some partners, design partners, validating, hey, this is something, will you buy? Will this work? And one of the things that also drove towards Storylane was, I'll tell you the why we started Storylane, right? So when we built the previous company, one of our competitors did a demo, sandbox like this, and showed to buyers on their website. And then when we realized like this was a good PLG edge they had, and then that's kind of what led us to start Storylane. So we were looking for kind of design partners who don't have a PLG motion, and when the product was complex, and we wanted to show like, hey, you're going to market, can you use Storylane to build out these sandboxes and share it? So we ideally found few design partners. That's very important. And this is like even before the product was ready, right? Before launching, right? So we were iterating, and but purely we had like Figma and prototypes, images, screens to show like this is what it will look like. And there were a few people who raised their hands, and people raise their hands because we know them. And that's the problem, right? When you're in founder-led sales, there's always something you learn. So people said like, we'll help you because they want to help you because they're good, because it's coming from a network. The first few design partners never bought us. Sorry, I tell you, one of the things I learned. So it's very important. I learned quickly at the end of the YC is like, we should find design partners who you don't know quickly, right? You don't know, not through network refer, because they want to be good because your friend referred them. You really need to find like unknown people. And during the end of YC, we didn't have any customers. So we really like turned our design partners around, and we seek some of the people within YC, people we don't know anybody. And then, purely we did a lot of LinkedIn outreach, just LinkedIn outreach at that point, nothing more. Every day, 20 emails I have to send. I have to do 20 connections. There's a maximum connection of 100 you can do in a week, max out. That's what we did and got the first 10 people like that. That's it. So I actually sell even today. So I mean, like, I love sales so much, like I said. So definitely I prospect even today, and then we prospect a lot. So I'll tell you where we are. We have close to 2,000 customers of Storylane today. Today where we are, and then I think we still like with two founders. So I sell. My other co-founder actually takes care on customer success side a lot. Basically, like somebody looks at people before buying, what they're talking about the problems and how that looks like, and somebody after buying, how does the work looks like, right? Because it satisfies. So we have two people looking at two different sides. Now, I do sell even today. So I would say we hired our first AE when we had, I would say, probably more than 200 customers or so, 200 to 50 customers. After that, only we hired a first AE. Until then, me and my co-founder were selling. And then we weren't really looking for the first AE. Actually, he came inbound. He saw, hey, your product. I mean, like I've used it and I've seen it. And he said, I think I want to join. You don't have an AE. And then he reached out on LinkedIn. We hired. So I would say probably like it's more like 8-10 months later after we first sold a customer is when we hired the first AE. And the first came without me prospecting or talking to them was then actually. So it's around 10 to 11 months after the first customer.
Nalin, you mentioned it took a long time for you to hire your first AE. You said it was about nine months into the business, and that AE also came inbound to you. And so if they hadn't, you maybe wouldn't have hired the AE so quickly. It could have actually been longer before you built a sales team. What advice would you give to early stage founders about when to hire the first AE or to start hiring the sales team?
So, so SDR was late. So we are pretty much 95% inbound today as a company today, inbound. So our outbound is only like 5% of what we're doing, right, of our whole pipeline. So now we hired our head of marketing towards end of last year. So basically we had some function of marketing within Storylane. So right now our marketing would be like around 8 to 9 people. Includes like content plus includes our brand and includes product marketing, includes all of the functions as well, but around 8-9 people. So we hired initially the product marketers, some of the content people, and we used some agencies. So I would really say our marketing took a big lift last year. So I think we've seen a lot of great returns in the last year after we had a head of marketing. But until then, it was more like, I would say, kind of piecemeal here and there. Like we did like some things here, but nothing was cohesive enough, like a strategy to drive our brand. It's more like, let's do content because everybody says we have to do content. Let's do post on LinkedIn because they say we have to post on LinkedIn. So it was like that. And then that's how we were operating for at least 1.5 years. And then now the last 1.5 years, we have created a strategy, and that's definitely helped a lot.
Your messaging, I'm guessing at the beginning, was really about trying to introduce this concept to some extent. Whereas now you've got probably people you're reaching out to who've never tried it and still need to be convinced that it's worth exposing their product when they're used to having it, hidden behind demos. But you've also got people who are maybe using a competitor or are familiar with the competitor, and what you're trying to do there is position where you are as a difference. Like, what's your differentiator from other people that they can work with? Can you just talk through? I mean, how did that messaging develop, and how do you now deal with those two different prospect segments?
For sure. So I think this category is pretty new. So it's probably not more than like 5 years old, I would say. It's very new. I would say max 5 years, and we've been there for 3 years. So there are some of our other players in this market. Oris is probably 5 years, or max 6 years, I would think, at the max. So initially when we did the founder-led sales, the first 250, 300, it was not about like how we are different or how we are doing things different. It's more about educating them why they need it, right? So that was what our focus on. Over the last year, some of our messaging has changed a little bit about like why, more than like why they need, also about like positioning of Storylane, how Storylane is different. And I also would say like there is a lot of blue ocean here. I mean, it feels like, like the reason I say there is a lot of blue ocean is if you look at all of us plus all the competitors, everybody, right? Total ARR account they might own probably would be less than 100 million, right, at this point. So, or if I'm putting a very high number still, probably it's less than that, like 60, 70 maybe. So given that, there's a lot of bluefield opportunity. So which means like we don't want to change our messaging too much about like focus on competition, how we are different. We do 20% of that when we see that it's necessary, but generally we try to educate people still, majority, 3/4 of the time. because of the blue field. There's so much market, and instead of fighting in the small bubble, we are looking at like there's larger market out there. We need to focus on that and educate the audience. So today buyers, right? So it's not like they just see a need and buy it. It takes them years, right? If it's a new category, they need to learn why I need it. They need to see you as a thought leadership of the brand. So a lot of work has gone into the marketing presence, brand education, knowledge, so that eventually they'll turn into a buyer for Storylane a year from now, right? That's the goal here. So we are more about like education, still 50%, 60%, and then when we are really talking to some of them in terms of like people who are already evaluating these kind of solutions, that's where our differentiation comes in a lot. So if you look at our website and some of the content we're trying to do, it's more about education.
From your experience and looking at customer success, who are the companies who get the most value out of these types of interactive demos? And what are some of the, I guess, the most successful use cases or the things that companies need to think about if they want to get the most ROI from these?
Great. I mean, there is, I think I can break it down a little bit just because that question has a lot of use cases as well. So let's talk about like who we sell into, right? We sell into marketing and sales teams. Let's talk about marketing only first. So when I talk about marketing, because I think it goes back into reducing the friction for a buyer and purchasing a software. So that means it happens from your website, maybe on your G2 profiles, trust radius, wherever the buyer is there trying to research, you would learn about the product. So the more you educate the buyer about the product, it's better. So they learn more about it and helps in making a purchase decision, right? Before they, I mean, when they're on top of the funnel, before they want to talk to a salesperson. So it can have two types of companies. My product is complex, which means like, let's say I'm not a PLG product. Like I'm a cybersecurity company, right? I have complex products, multi-products. So now you want to educate your buyer as much as possible. Like every space has like 10 other players, generally speaking, right? Today, SaaS is like so much competition. Now, how do you educate your buyer early? So then what happens is like, if you're non-PLG, I can't show the product so easily. I can't let them sign up. Definitely there's a lot of value for them. And it's not about like gating the demos, trying to capture them as leads. It's more about educating. Buyers are very smart. So they'll figure out, they'll learn about it, they research, they read the reviews, they learn through references. Show them what you have, show them. And what you have started seeing is people don't have one demos. We've seen that is not enough. So we launched recently something called Demo Hub, which allows many different demos to be put together, launch it. So I would say if your product has many different platform has many different products, expose as much as possible so that they're able to go through that sequence and learn about it. So definitely one demo is not an ideal number. We've seen more demos being used, but it's also at the same time, it's not like demos everywhere, but right mix of content, right mix of story is important as well. Plus, intermixed with the demos. So dedicated resource pages with all the demos in one place definitely is working as well. And if you're non-PL, this is for non-PLG also. If you're a PLG company, what we are also seeing a lot is like people don't sign up, right? There are a lot of PLG companies out there. A lot of people get started because they're serious people. They don't want to sign up and try it on their own. But hey, without signing up and getting these emails and subscribe, can I just look at what the product is? If it makes sense, let me go sign up, right? So that's a big value I see for PLG. More like a CTA driving forces, not talk to a sales, but more like sign up. We see that a lot as well. So marketing, generally lead gen or driving them into talking to sales or signing up is most important we see. Another marketing use case that we see is you have multi-products like Senthamil, one of cybersecurity companies who are our customers today users. They have one product they have sold. How do I upsell the customer different product lines? Now you want to educate them in CS teams with different demos. That's another big use case we see as well. So marketing has many different use cases like this, upselling, cross-selling, or like educating the buyer. Now sales, biggest use case we see is time to value. If your sales demo timeline is long, in the sense like deal closing timeline is long, you have multiple touch points to be included. A sales engineer needs to be involved. There's a big value when they use demos because they're building like tailored demos or shareable small bite-sized demos to educate them. Mm-hmm. That's the place where if your sales cycle is too short, you will not see a value. Sales cycle is longer, you want to reduce it. That's the big value you see. Now, when you talk about sales, it varies very much, right? Depending on your product, because they're already engaging, talking to your salesperson. Now, you want a great demo for me is not just sharing one, but sending them a playlist of a bunch of demos in our hub, right? Okay, here's your persona, and this is what you're looking for. I'm looking for a Salesforce integration. I'm looking for like single sign-on, plus I'm looking for like 2 product lines from your product, right? Product A, product B. So packing them up and sending that is super important. So that's a great demo because you're actually giving value to your buyer.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's very important the way that the story comes out. I mean, in the same way when you see a live demo, if someone just clicks through features and says, here's this, it's not very exciting. Whereas if they can craft it in a way that captures how you would use the tool to solve a problem, that's when you hit that like that moment in the demo where you go, okay, wow, this is what I want.
Correct. So if you are, you said it right. So if I have to look at a website, hey, great product, maybe I want to talk to a salesperson. Like you will first find out, get some discovery, understand. You need to lead up, and you want to share that right quickly. So then your demo and the marketing needs to be telling that story. Otherwise, there is a challenge, right? You're jumping straight into the feature sometimes. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a detail, but it has to tell like who the persona is, why this is for. Yeah, at least.
How do you look at the interplay between your paid campaigns and I guess like organic or non-paid inbound?
Ideally, you want the paid to be less, right? We don't want to keep increasing the money. So the good thing is we haven't increased the money on the paid, and our leads have gone up this year. So that's a good sign. We are already in this year. I think we only did the first quarter. We increased our paid spending. We haven't spent extra in our Google ads for last 6 months. But definitely our lead volume have gone up. Our conversions have gone up in the last 6 months purely because of brand is driving. So if I look for keyword search Storylane in Google, we have like 2.5x in the last 5 months.
Fantastic.
So, which is what we are looking for, a metric. How many people are searching for Storylane? We need to continue to drive that because naturally that means like we don't have to keep increasing our paid spend, right? So that's all. So that's like a quick metric for me to look at, like where we're spending and how it is. Hopefully next year we are able to create more brand presence and like word of mouth presence to drive that mainly. And also we realize paid is like, it's like money in the drain. Like you can put money at some point, you can't turn the knob and it doesn't go up, right? You're going to hit that somewhere. And then it's better to figure out like what other options are there, or always having multi-channel option is important.
Yep. And with your paid ads, say especially Google, if you usually think you've got branded campaigns, competition branded campaigns, and then generic solution to interactive demo software. Have you seen the pattern between those change over time?
Great question. I manage the Google ads myself with a person who runs this agency. So you said it right. There are 3 categories, right? One is like competitors, definitely, and then high intent, we call it, like interactive demo, product tours, things which are like demo automation, important keywords, people which are at the bottom of the funnel. And then there are like slightly more generic we have, which is slightly not very high intent, but kind of medium intent, right? So there is like those 3 categories. What we see one more is the brand. So we run, you have to, because the problem with the brand growing is like you have to run ads on your brand. So that's the 4th one. So where we spend the most money is definitely around like high intent, and then our brand itself, and then comes the competitors and the medium intent. So what we have seen is like we haven't changed too much of our split where we're spending, but what's given better results, what we are seeing is high intent and our brand for sure, right? Those give the best results of everything. And competition, I mean, we run it, but that's probably where you drain your money in general, right? I mean, like you spend a lot, but you will get like few, but rather you spend the time and energy on building your brand, I would say, all the time.
Okay. And are there other paid channels? Do you do paid LinkedIn, paid other places, Meta?
We do LinkedIn, very little. LinkedIn, we are focused a lot around like thought leadership posts and things and brand presence in these events. Now that we have been doing that, we are targeting LinkedIn ads as well. And then impressions. Again, primarily not from conversion perspective, like leads perspective, but more like a brand presence perspective. And we do sponsorship on newsletters. We do like events. So right now, last week we were in a product marketing PMA conference event. So in San Francisco, we sponsored a booth and we were there. We're sponsoring one event this week. Like September, we're sponsoring some events. So being strategic around it. What I've also seen is like, it's not like sponsoring Dreamforce and inbounds and everything. So it's about like finding the niche of where your ICP is going to be, 200, 300, not more than 500 people, and go and sponsoring that, or having a speaking option there. Now we're trying to be the speaker, or like being a present there so that they're aware of your brand, right, in some ways. So that's what we're focused on, not like big events and spending like 100,000, 200,000 money on those. Like these are small, but there are big good wins there.
Yeah. Anything else in the event strategy that's driving results for you? I mean, so you mentioned smaller events, trying to speed, but what else works well in events?
Smaller events works amazingly well. So I think it's more like shortlisting. So one of the things is like a lot of our customers are cybersecurity companies today. So, I mean, a lot of security companies use them. So we found a small event for security companies who do cyber marketing. So, I mean, like these are not so famous, but you want to find those kind of communities and niche markets. Same we're doing for data also, data observability. So, but again, sell to marketers there or salespeople there, right? So finding those small pockets of events and being present there is very important, and that's definitely worked. I wouldn't say we've cracked it so well. We've just started doing this, and I'm sure by next year we one of the things we want to do is how do we crack all these small events in the calendar,
Yeah.
being present, talking, or having a booth or some presence there.
How's your team set up now? I mean, what are the roles within the team for
We are
marketing and sales?
sure. So we're somewhat like we're a small team. It's not that big. So I'll tell you, like we are close to 30 people. So what I do is like I manage like a lot of. I spend my time mostly around like product sales, and most of the product sales and engineering there. And then we have a head of marketing. He's in India, so most of the marketing or GTM team is all in India at this point. And then we have a product person who works on product and design. Is in Europe. And then we have an engineering distributor. So engineering, we have a head of engineering who is in India. But again, the team is distributed across Europe, India, in multiple places as well. So again, since we're global there. And sales, I run directly the sales. Sales is in US and India. So in both the places, we have sales team. And then sales and SDR. So I directly work with them. So we also have a CS. So CS is basically, we have a head of CS. CS team is again like distributed across like US, Europe, India. So across different time zones to work. So think of like there is a head of CS, head of marketing, head of engineering, primarily for us to manage these teams, and then like product still very closely works with me, and then sales also. Yeah.
Okay, cool. In how you manage your GTM, what's your tech stack? I mean, what are the tools that you use for marketing and sales?
Oh, awesome. Actually, we sales we are HubSpot, so pretty much,
Yep.
and then we use Apollo, HubSpot, Clay, Smart Lead, Outreach. Like some of these are the tools that we are using. There are many different tools. Of course, we use our own Storylane demo tools as well. But the idea is like all of these different tools we use, from reaching out, sourcing, identifying pipeline. Like 5 to 10% is outbound, is where all of these tools come in, and all of those emails. Product communication goes through Intercom, so we use Intercom for that. So we also use we communicate with our customers quite a lot, either from product updates perspective or also like some of the GTM things that we're doing, like webinars, things that we are hosting, and everything as well. So we use all through Intercom because our customer base, everybody has Intercom, and we send those communications through Intercom itself. And so we're very lean on Stack actually. And then we use also tools to identify when there is like a job changes, like people changing jobs who have been a customer. And then so there are a few tools. We use a tool from Buyer Assist, it's Boomerang, and then from Sales Stack. So there are two, like of course we use Clay quite a lot for attribution. We use a tool like Retool for our dashboards, internal things, and everything. So a lot of these things are used by our sales teams and marketing as well. And then from CS we use a customer success platform tool as well, and then plus Intercom. That's basically what we use. On marketing specifically, I would say we use tools to post on LinkedIn. That's not social. So to post on LinkedIn, to be social around that. But apart from that, very less tools actually, I would say. I mean, like there are some SEO keywords, research tools and everything we use, which are there, like SEMrush, Ahrefs, and all those tools we use. But yeah, nothing like marketing automation stack or anything. We don't use any of that.
Gotcha.
We just rely on
So you do it sort of like HubSpot for kind of attribution stuff?
Yeah, HubSpot is for attribution. We used Factors. Factors is for like identifying attribution as well there. So we started doing LinkedIn, so which means like identifying how the coverage is on LinkedIn, who is visiting these different pages. So kind of getting like tracking metrics across platforms. People, not just the first touch point, but the last touch point, to understanding how it's playing out as well. So there are a few tools that we use them as well. But yeah,
I really like in B2B marketing, these activities, say like the awards, that can serve multiple purposes. You do an awards. Firstly, it gives you something that can go out as a message. There could be some PR, there can be announcements, there can be marketing. It engages your customers. If they win awards, they then share it on their own social media, which gives you a social media amplification. If you take them on on a trip to Paris, that's also something that's going to get shared. But what it also leaves you is, okay, here's the list of demos, the award-winning demos, which then becomes collateral that you can share to prospects. Like, here, look at these amazing things that other people have done. Because now they've publicly shared those demos, so they can become materials, references for your customer success. So it's one activity, but it can touch so many different parts of your marketing.
100%. So I think good one quick story comes is like we did these awards and somebody was in our pipeline sales talking to them. And then so we were pricing definitely higher compared to a competitor. So these awards went out. They're looking at these awards and they're saying like, hey, a salesperson shared these awards as a resource material. So this is
Mm.
like very similar to what you will be able to build and maybe win an award or something, right? And
And you
so
might get an
it
award too.
it promotes a little bit of thought leadership. They're looking at, okay, here's a company who's telling who's the better demo in the market.
Yep.
So I need to look at them and see like, I better be associated. My demo will be good, right? So there is a mindset shift that happens as a buyer who's new to this category. They're like, who will help me build the best things to drive these things? Now, when you see an award, okay, they know how to do this, right? So that, and we know, and it's more about like telling that story correctly.
Yep.
And if you tell them in a call, like, hey, we know how to do it, our CS will help, they'll be like, yeah, great. And the competitor will also do the same thing. But when you promote it this way, your brand speaks for it, then the whole team in the in the company nods their head right away. So
Yeah.
that's basically what is important now. What we have to do.
What advice would you give to founders regarding brand building? You mentioned that you're now seeing the results. The leads and the revenue flowing in from the brand itself. The brand searches are going up. There's often a difficult stage. Many founders are scared of this term of brand. They feel it's wasting money. It's not generating great leads, and it's hard to get out of that sort of lead gen mentality and to look at putting resources in towards building the brand. So how do you look at brand both from a company level, a founder level, but also what can employees do to help build the brand?
Sure. So let me answer the first part, the founders. So I would say, as a founder, you shouldn't get out of selling at any point in time, right? Number one. So be it, I don't know if I will get out of it until probably next year as well. So you want to continue as much as you can because that's the best way to get the product feedback, what the market is saying. It's not just about selling, right? You get a lot of data points of how the market is changing, shifting. You need to be on the demo calls telling. Sometimes people ask, hey, you're the founder, you have A's, why are you on the demo call? Like, are you too smaller? No, I think like I picked 1 in 5 calls just because I need to be hearing what people are saying, how the market is changing, what competitors are there. Otherwise, you will not get to know that. You'll always be a second-hand knowledge gainer, right? So I highly recommend doing that. And that's why, I mean, like, I don't have a number saying that you hit 1 million, you hit like 100K, you hit 10 customers to say you will know it when you have to hire me. I think that's probably what I say. I think we knew it because we couldn't focus on other parts of the business. So we knew we need someone to help. So you will know it. Don't force yourself to go hire an AE. You will know. It's like a calling. You'll know it, right? I need to focus on other parts of the business, so I need someone to help you. So that's the time to hire. So that's how we did it. And it luckily worked out very well so far. And it's not like we're going and hiring many, but again, there's a calling, we see it and we're hiring. And then the second part I think you asked about is like brand. So I think a lot of people say like, hey, founder brand, you have to sell so much, post a lot on LinkedIn. I'm not a big poster, like I don't post so much on LinkedIn. I'm not, I mean, like after all of this, like it's very hard, but I need to. But I think the more important is like, I think even if you don't do it, I think the brand is like making sure the company is motivated, like the people in the marketing, not just marketing, everybody in the team is motivated, who wants to be very upfront, vocal about what they're doing, be it whatever they're doing in LinkedIn, encourage it, right? So for us, it's all about like, hey, you want to do it, please do it, right? And we'll support you full and fully. And that's definitely helped. And a lot of folks in our brand team and marketing team enjoy being on the social channels and enjoy posting about it. And we just want that to be like number one thing. So it's more like comes from the founder. You have to tell them about it. That's one simple, easy way to build a brand. Maybe you are not ready, but if your team is ready, don't go by what you are thinking, but let the team decide if they want to be open and social about it. Let that be. And I think that is a good way to start as well, because you build your brand and slowly others will warm up. You need to find the right people who wants to be that, right? And then in your team. So building that will help sometimes, who are passionate about that brand part. I mean, that's just for LinkedIn, right? So I think apart from LinkedIn, brand building is like, depending on what product you're selling, my only advice is like you have to be innovative. I mean, in this market, you have to be very innovative. And like examples I mentioned, like small events, right? You got to come up with like different ways to do it. Where my ICP is, I think that happens with a lot of talking to people in the network.
Cool.
Yeah, being open about it.
Excellent. Fantastic. Nalin, you've offered an incredible volume of wisdom. I think this will help people definitely to understand, your perspective on sales and
Sure.
marketing, the Storylane journey. But there's also some great, I think, some great actionable insights there that other early stage founders can look at when they're charting their own GTM journey.
Cool. Awesome.
Cool.
No, thank you.
So
Hopefully I shared something. Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us today.
for sure. Thank you.